we don't talk about it. Hey guys, it's Adele and welcome back to my channel. This video I'm going to be doing a what I read in 2024. I'm very excited about this because look at how many books I read. A total of 9 books. That's crazy. But yeah, this is going to be my first, obviously, like, book review, so just bear with me because I don't know sometimes how to describe a book. So, but I'm just going to show you what I read, so let's get into it. First, I need to sip my off-brand strawberry acai. I just did a taste test. This is the Keurig version. Doesn't taste anything like it, but it's still really good. It's very fruity. Alright, so the first book I read was Stranger Things Hawkins Horrors, a collection of terrifying tales by Matthew J. Gilbert. And I love all the Stranger Things books, but I love this one too, just because this takes place before the events of season 4, and everyone that's in Hawkins right now is all in family video with where Steve and Robin work, and they all take turns telling each other like horror tales, and I love it so much because it also reminds me of Fear Street, which we'll get to that. But in the contents, I have to point this out because the time is like where they, before they start telling stories, so you like get like dialogue and stuff from the characters, and it makes you feel like you're like watching the show or like you're there. And then all the rest are which each character calls their horror stories. So, but if I remember, out of all of the horror stories that each one of them tell, I think it was Girls Just Want to Have Fun was the story that low-key threw me off, I think. Let me double check. No, it was A Lover's Lake. And I love that too because, you know, they talk about Lover's Lake in the show. And it really threw me off just because of how, like, I don't know, how do I describe it? Like, gory, or how, like, in detail they told the story, which, who even told this story? Hold on. Of course it was Steve. If you don't know, Steve is my favorite character, and I love Steve. But anyway, Steve told the story. Of course he did, because Lover's Lake, you know, he made out with a bunch of girls in that spot. Today is Hawkins' #1 makeout spot for teens. So, I love that it was Steve that told the story. And, well, he really told it good because it really freaked me out. But yeah, so that is Hawkins Horrors. I definitely recommend. But yeah. Also, all these books I recommend in their own special ways. Next, we have Stranger Things. You're gonna notice a theme. Stranger Things Suspicious Minds, which this was the first ever Stranger Things novel that they came out with, which they came out with this a while ago, like my early YouTube era time. And I finished this on February 18th. And then also you may notice that some of my books have a little bookmark. And that's because it is a custom bookmark for the book, and I made these. But yeah, we have just Brenner with Terry Ives. Yes, oh my god, Terry Ives, 11th mom, because that is the base of this story. Alright, so this book is about before the events of Stranger Things, and it's like history about Hawkins Lab. So when like Brenner was starting to get into experiments, and then Terry comes along, 11's mom, and how she gets introduced to all these experiments. And yeah. So it starts out with Terry and her like backstory and her relationships with the people around her. And then once she's in the lab and like discovers it, I think she goes with her friends to try it out. And then she learns about all this, you know, like secret stuff about Brenner and the lab. And she also, I believe, starts to see Callie in her visions from the experiments that they do on her. and she like is determined to figure out, you know, who this girl is and if there's any other children that she thinks that Brenner is experimenting on. Oh. I just flipped on, I completely forgot about that ending part. Someone from the show comes into the very end that I low-key forgot about. But yeah, apologies because I'm starting to like remember all of these books and what happened. But that is Suspicious Minds. I hope I explained it well, and I, again, recommend this book for Stranger Things lovers. And also, I just wanted to point out that Mini Brand Books has the same book but tiny. Like, I love it. It's so cute. Alright, next we have Damsel, which is now a Netflix film with Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. And I absolutely loved the movie, but the book is way better, in my opinion. And I finished this on April 4th. And as you can see, I have another bookmark in here. Ta-da! I love it. It's so freaking cute. Okay, so this story is about a young girl named Elodie who grows up in a not so wealthy time. And this, I forget what time period this takes place in, but it has to do with princesses, princes, and dragons. And so it's not until she gets an invitation to the land of Aurea to where, you know, her life low-key changes drastically. And I'm trying to remember, I know her dad has a lot to do with this, because I'm trying to remember if her dad really told her to do it or if she wanted to do it herself. God, it's been so long. But when she's in the land of Aurea, it is totally different from where she is. It's beautiful, it's wealthy, and she meets a prince and they fall in love up until some crazy shit happens. And I don't really want to spoil that much because it's a lot, but let's just say there's a dragon involved, and let's just say that who she thought was trustworthy isn't actually trustworthy, and she has to survive. And yeah. But like I said, without any spoilers, the book is way better than the movie. Still love the movie though. But the way that they ended this book, I wish they did that in the movie. So hopefully that says a lot. And it was crazy. It was really crazy. But yeah, I definitely recommend this too. Another thing I forgot to mention about this book is each chapter is told by the character, so it's a lot of Elodie, but also there's chapters told by the prince, her sister, and also these girls that come in later in the story, and there's also some chapters told by the dragon. So, yeah. Okay, next. Not sure if I talked about this on my channel. I think I have. Yes, I think I have in one of my videos, but this series, this is a whole series. This series is probably one of my favorites. Yeah. So the first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which is now a Netflix TV show. Again, the books are way better. But I have my little bookmark of the characters in the show. And little fun fact, I actually tried to read this my senior year after I read Rebel Robin, the Stranger Things book, but I didn't get into it. But then when I came back to it last year, I really got hooked. So I did write a little sticky note in this one. This is when I was a senior. I wrote, "This book is interesting." And then I rewrote, when I started the book, I said, "I wrote this senior year and read like one chapter, not even. Now starting it, I am understanding it and enjoying it." Because I didn't really understand books back then. I'm surprised I read Rebel Robin, but it was really hard for me to like comprehend what was happening. But so I finished the first book April 30th, and it's basically about a young girl in high school named Pip, and she wants to uncover the secrets about this girl named Andy Bell who supposedly got murdered by her boyfriend. And she thinks that there's something off about it, so she wants to try and uncover the secrets about it. And it kind of turns into a very strong obsession. More so in the later books. But it really, this is the starter here. Also, since she's trying to uncover the secrets and try and prove Sal innocent for proving that he didn't actually kill Andy, her life low-key becomes a little, how do I describe this? Her life becomes a little dangerous because of the risk she's taking. And yeah, another thing that did kind of throw me off when I tried to read this senior year is that Pip does interviews for who she is like trying to get information from. So there is like pages told in an interview perspective. Sorry. So it's like kind of like that. But yes, so this is very on the edge of my seat, like flying through the book, needing to know what is happening, and a lot. So since I flew by this one, I had to like immediately start this one, which is Good Girl Bad Blood, and I finished this on May 12th. Not that long of a difference. But without spoiling much, because obviously you must read the first book to understand. But this one, it's just basically she like starts a true crime podcast with someone. You'll see, you'll know. But she still thinks that like there's still more to uncover. And then also someone that she knows goes missing, and which also sparks more of what she had last book to uncover the secrets of the disappearance of this person and to find this person. Ooh, also just realized there's pictures in this one. And again with the interviews. There is so much that I can spoil about these books. It's not even funny because it was just so good. But they are currently making season 2 on Netflix of this book, which I'm very excited about. But there's that one, and like, did I say? I did fly through this one, I think faster than the first one. And finally, well actually not finally, but finally of the trilogy is this one, which is As Good as Dead. This one is really good. It's so good that I actually cried a little bit. This one is the darkest one out of all three, and this one is just basically she's basically getting threats, and it says, who will look for you when you're the one who disappears? And that's terrifying. So then that also makes her want to figure out, you know, who's sending me these messages, you know, why is this still happening to me? This whole series is really just like a mind frack, because there's like so much going on that you're trying to figure out too as you're reading, and you're like, is it this person? Is it this person? What's gonna happen now? But this one, it really got me because of how detailed it was described about what was happening. And yeah, let's just say that this is the book that is very, very intense when it comes to the threats that Pip has because of her obsession and her trying to figure out, you know, what's going on. But yeah. and I finished this one on June 7th. And like I said, this is a trilogy, so that's just all the main books, but they also have this book, which is Killjoy. It's a Girl's Guide to Murder novella. And so this takes place before all of this happens. So I finished this on June 16th, and this is about Pip and all of her friends throw a murder mystery party set in the 1920s. So they are all in different characters, and they all have different motives. So Pip becomes a detective. So it's basically how she, like from the other books, how she like becomes like a good detective and trying to figure out this fake murder. Another thing I love about this book is the way that the fake murder plays out, and everyone's like determination, and Pip's too, especially if you just read all three of those, is it really plays out well. And so I definitely recommend all 4 of these books. Oops, they're not all right. But I definitely recommend all 4 of these. And if you're interested in watching the Netflix TV series, I definitely recommend reading the books first, just because of how good the books are compared to the show. But having that visual when you watch the show is also great. Just like Stranger Things, as I was talking about from Hawkins Horrors and stuff. But yeah, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Alright, next we have Fear Street, The Beginning, which I just realized I haven't been telling you guys the authors from these books. Obviously, the famous R.L. Stine. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is by Holly Jackson. We love her. Damsel, Evelyn, Skye. Suspicious Minds, Gwenda Bond. I'm so sorry, I forgot. But back to Fear Street. I love this book so much. So I have my little bookmark, which is from the Fear Street movies on Netflix, and I have both sides. And I love the movies so much. So back to Fear Street. This is a very thick book, but it has 4 stories in one. So it has The New Girl, The Surprise Party, The Overnight, and Missing. And all these stories take place in a town called Shadyside. I finished this June 23rd. So just like the title, The Beginning, this is the whole start to the curse on Shadyside. And there's this area, this street called Fear Street, where everyone is convinced that shit happens down there and we do not go down there. And it all starts in the first story called The New Girl. So basically this girl lives down there and this guy is interested in her, and they, you know, have a connection, and then until he realizes that she's actually a little bit cuckoo in the head, then he's kind of like in danger. And he has to try and, you know, get away from this girl. So I would continue talking about the rest of the stories, but I want to save it for you guys. But let's just say some of these stories had me on edge. But what I love about going into the next story is that the characters from the previous story are in it, you know, because everyone lives in Shadyside. But yeah, I love the series, and for Christmas I just got the next installment of Fear Street, which is called the wrong number, and I'm really excited to read that. I'm probably gonna read that after I read Dustin's book. And finally, we have Stranger Things, Darkness on the Edge of Town by Adam Christopher. This is Hopper's book. And here's my bookmark. Sorry about the glare. But here it is. And when I got this book, it came with a poster. So it came with a poster of the book cover, and then also Hopper in New York, which is the plot of this book. So this takes place in the events of season 2, so when Hopper and Elle are in the cabin, but it also takes place in 1977 when Hopper is in New York. So when he starts talking about New York to Elle, he basically starts out with living with his wife Diane, his daughter Sarah, and his new job as a detective for the NYPD. And then he also, while he's working, a new detective is brought to the team, Detective Delago, and he's not, you know, too fond of her at first, but as they start working on cases, they, you know, get along. And I forget why they can't work on this specific case. That's like the whole plot of the story, but apparently they're not allowed to, you know, work on that, and someone else has to, but they don't care. They want to, they're determined to figure out this case because it's, you know, so like important in the plot. And so they secretly work on it without anyone knowing, and it could cost them their jobs, and also it could cost them their life. And that's when I really started to read it, because it was like really good. And I did actually make a TikTok about like my visuals while I was reading it and what I think, you know, the whole book would look like. But yeah, so I think that's everything I want to say about this book. I will say that the case that they're working on is about a like psychological murder, and I do want to say this one thing, but I also don't, because that's low-key spoiling it. But if you do want to know, you should watch that one TikTok I posted. But yeah, that is Hopper's book. So yeah, all the books I read. No. So yeah, these are all the books I read in 2024. Still very shocking to me. And I really hope I explained them well, because like I said, this is my first book review. But leave a like if you like this video, and I recommend all these books. Let me know if you've read them or if you're planning to. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.